Welcome back, it's the Wicked One. We got some tips and tricks for the arena today. We got some tips for building an arena team. So when you're building an arena team, this is a standard formation I set up, try to sustain and give some good numbers. When you build an arena team, you want to see what your hero is good at. You got to pick your hero. That's the basic part. You can pick your hero based on the units you have leveled up, or you can pick your units based on what supports your hero well. Go with Soul Mirror. You know he's a good spellcaster. So you're going to want to sustain, and you're also going to want some burst damage to limit his spells to good areas. If you go with his abilities, it's like Chain Lightning, good damage there. We got Air Arrow, it's another decent damage. Lightning Bolt, good damage. And Wind Wall, this is dodge and some movement speed. Really the dodge is the best part about it. So when I'm building my arena team, I like to end up going with 3 tank line. And when I'm putting my tanks down, Earth Elemental is super tanky, doesn't deal much damage, so you're going to want some high damage dealers behind him because he'll be able to hold the line for a while. You got Behemoth, he's got some decent damage, quite a bit of health, and he has some stuns and a bleed. So when you're going behind him, you still want some decent damage, but he's able to stun, so you can kind of hold the line a little longer with the stuns rather than just pure tankiness. Yeah, Demon, he's got good damage and he's decently tanky, but he does dodge a lot, which ends up helping him out most of the time. And since I have enough power, and I have the artifact that allows me to summon a skeleton, you can get away with only running 3 tanks, and then running like a Pit Fiend in the off lane, which will summon a demon, and that demon will get in front of this Pit Fiend if there's a skeleton there, because if there's no skeleton there, these enemies will end up hitting the demon, or hitting the Pit Fiend over the demon. And then I like to put Angel behind Behemoth. They combo pretty well. They both have good damage, so I can push this lane pretty hard without actually stacking too many units in it. And you want to keep this Angel alive until someone else dies. It could be the Behemoth that dies first, and then it would summon the Behemoth back, and it would give this more tankiness. It would spawn 2 Behemoths basically, so it'd be the health of 2 Behemoths. Which will let me know his health. No, it won't. Okay. He has about 1,000,000 health. So it's a high health unit. And then behind this Earth Elemental, I like to stack my damage. Because he's tanky, but he doesn't have any damage, and he has stuns. So if I can get a bunch of good damage units behind him and hit their strongest formation, this Earth Elemental, the strongest lane, it'll tank long enough and stun this lane to allow these units to kill him. We'll put Giant right behind Fire Elemental. Giant's got some good AoE damage. Got this, hits 2 targets. This Thunder's Rage, which ends up dealing damage to all hostile units. This is his really good AoE ability, and it decreases their attack and crit hit, which is awesome. Deal extra damage the farther he is, and when Giant's enhanced by a spell, he gets more damage and some increased damage percentage. I don't make the most use out of his last ability, but I do make a lot of use out of his debuffs and the constant damage he deals. And we'll put Knight behind him because Knight and Fire Elemental, they combo good together and get increased damage when they kill stuff. So this lane is my kill lane. This is my sustain, doing some good damage. My sustain and heal lane. Hopefully you could push hard here, you could take this lane out, but it's ends up going to have at least 2 units after the skeletons die, but with the skeletons it's basically 3 units, so it can take a Knight charge and be perfectly fine. You can take that kind of burst damage. Demon, he's by himself. Taking a little risk there, it's my weakest lane, but he does have the dodge, so if he starts dodging a lot, versus like high attack speed units that don't do a lot of damage, he'll end up out healing their damage. And we'll just see what happens here. Going against just a bunch of tanks and some damage and derives and heals.
Let the ice and snow freeze this
You see my bottom lane, it's my damage lane, it's doing a bunch of damage. Killed the tank already once, but it's Already summoned the small earth elementals, so doing well there. And it's dealing damage to this angel. Killed them all. The second lane's starting to collapse because it's my second highest damage lane. Demon is going against a bunch of units that attack. They don't hit too hard, so he's end up healing really well. In this top lane, they end up losing, but they staying long enough for a minute in the battle, which is very good. Now the bottom lane and the second to bottom lane just end up just riding up the line and starting to kill everything. We still do have this giant back here doing constant damage throughout the whole battle, which just gives you that little extra punch with the soul mirror spells. Did that pretty easily. And damage done. As you can see, the fire elemental is number 1. He does a bunch of damage. You got giant number 2. He's going untouched, dealing a bunch of damage. Angel, who's with Behemoth, gets the chance to do a bunch of damage. Also gets his chance to get his revive off. I have the baby Azura Dragon because I have that artifact unlocked. And then I have Demon, who was able to sustain long enough in his lane. He took a bunch of damage and he also healed quite a bit, so that's really good by him. He's dealing good damage also. He's a good tank. He's a good damage tank. He has dodges, but you can end up beating him by bursting him hard enough. Got the Pit Fiend here. It doesn't show any healing by the Pit Fiend, which is very interesting, but normally Pit Fiend does heal quite a bit. And that's the Pit Fiend and Horn Demon lane. They end up tanking for a decent amount of time and doing okay damage, not too high. Earth Elemental taking a bunch. Black Knight. All I'm really using the Black Knight is try to get that burst off really quick to puncture a hole and give this buffs to the Fire Elemental and to make this giant start hitting, moving up lanes. The Behemoth here taking some pretty good damage there, doing some pretty good healing on the unit deaths. Dealing almost 1,000,000 damage, not bad for him. The smaller Earth Elementals, that's when the Earth Elemental dies, it summons these. Pretty good by him and the Armed Skeletons. Just to try to absorb that initial punch by that lane if they try to target your Pit Fiend lane. The skill damage by him, you see the Giant's doing a lot of skill damage, Angel a little bit, Fire Elemental a ton by his skill damage, that's what he's mostly known for. Demon, quite a bit of damage by his skills. Earth Elemental very little, but they end up stunning too, and Behemoth, his skill also stuns, so it's pretty awesome. Does have a little bleed here. And that's how you set up arena formation. As you can see, I got rank 1. And I've had these two players start attacking me. Zed's only about 150k power more than Stingray is 250k power more. We'll go to the first battle with Stingray. He is running Luna. Luna's not terrible, but it's not as good as it used to be. We're winning this battle so far by quite a bit.
Let lightning destroy everything.
We were also standing him in the middle and top lane. Bottom lane we had a draw. And he just starts falling apart. And with the second battle with Stingray, he's changing up his formation a little bit. It's kind of smart to see different results. He burst them pretty hard with spells in the beginning, because the Soul Mirror gave us this edge. It is about even right now. This time he beat us up top. Going after our giant. We're still sustaining him right in the middle.
This is a gift I grant you. Let lightning destroy everything.
A little bit closer, but not too much. Still first, they haven't attacked again. This is when we beat Emperor Zed. And it's his formation. He is running Storm Elemental. That's very interesting. We did run stacks against each other.
A noble spirit.
His Storm Elementals are doing pretty good.
Lightning destroy.
But he's hitting our Behemoth, who's tanking pretty good. He just got healed by the Pit Fiend up top. Ends up healing faster than the Storm Elementals are doing damage.
Destroy everything.
Still got our giant back there doing damage.
Destroy
We haven't had one lane yet collapse.
Let lightning destroy.
About to have the second lane right here collapse, but that's okay. The rest of ours are starting to clean up the battlefield.
Feel the flow.
No, this is all the attempts Emperor Zed had. Go through them. So he's ended up trying to split the lanes. He split where all his units are, so he's going for the top and bottom lane. He didn't put a tank in front of this fire elemental. It's not a great idea. I can get hit pretty hard by spells. That's pretty okay.
A noble
He's hitting this lane hard, but his lightning elementals are taking the damage too from spells. And this lane's hitting this tank really hard. My tank is still doing pretty well since it's going to summon units.
destroy everything.
We're also winning in this lane. And we are winning in this lane, and we are probably losing in the top lane, but we do have 2 charge units. They're not the strongest, so the fire elemental goes down. He's going to end up burning everyone, doing some passive damage there. That's good with this giant doing some passive damage.
Flow.
And we basically just out-sustain him, and our team just moves up the line.
Destroy everything.
Now the second battle with him. I still have the same defensive formation. It's been working pretty good for me. You can counter it with like Devil and such like that, but it makes Devil pretty hard to counter these this giant here, because these Death Knights will turn around and hit him.
Flow.
He's also using Soul Mirror. He pushed through this lane right here where the devil or where the demon was, and he's going for the giant. But that's taken 2 or his top damage unit out, and he actually lost the giant and some spells. This is where this giant's becoming really good, and we have the dodge ability went off. And a bunch of spells. He ended up dying there. We have all these summoned earth elementals. They're extremely tanky, so leaving this giant, which he just died. We have the earth elementals doing damage, our spells, and this dragon. And again, we're just out-sustaining him, given that Soul Mirror is doing the damage needed at the end. And we have this replay. This time, he ended up pushing the demon lane again. He thought that was pretty good success. It was a lot closer than the other one. He was using vampires. Vampires, that leech ability is good, but other than that, vampires don't offer too much. Especially once you start damaging them, their damage goes down a lot. They do bonus damage when their health is higher than the enemy. Very even battle right now. But this is where my sustain of my build comes in handy. You want Earth Elemental up top. He does have a 5-star Lich. Those are pretty dangerous. We won in the bottom lane. Now they're going to start working their way up. This time he didn't have nearly as good a success. Probably the demon had some extra dodges there. Going to this one. What did he do this time? He ends up splitting and going high in the mid. And, only one ranged. No ranged, okay. You want demons. Or devil. See, devil's countering this giant pretty good. But the rest of his formation, it's doing pretty well, but it's not doing great. Right here, the Behemoth Angel combo. They ended up beating this whole lane by themselves, and they're just working their way on everyone else. And our Pit Fiends are able to sustain long enough to keep this Bone Dragon off them. We just out-sustained him again. Go to this replay. This time he ends up stacking on this Behemoth Angel combo. Kind of smart, since he realized in the last battle it's been kind of destroying him the whole time. But he's weaker in the other lanes. And he's not running Devil, so he's not getting this jump on the on the Giants. The Giant's able just to do continuous damage on anyone.
Lightning destroy.
Behemoth finally went down.
Feel the flow.
So he kind of collapsed in this lane. In the bottom lane he's doing well. But we still have these Earth Elementals that are extremely tanky. And in the top lane we're doing also really well with this Pit Fiend Demons that came together. We got another win here. These Earth Elementals, they're doing some work by just tanking the damage they need to. We got this replay, he's at 1.4 million power in this replay. I'm only at 1.2, so it's a pretty big power difference there. We got a good burst on him. He's using a different hero, just Vidomina with the summons and the Lich. Not too bad of a combo there. They have a lot of buffs to Bone Dragon and Skeletons. He's just not able to sustain. We ended up doing all this AoE damage to him, and he's not doing much about it. Giant's not really caring for these summons. This Angel Behemoth combo there, it's doing work still. They're both topped off at full health.
A noble spirit stands.
And then we're going to have these summons back here. There, they're dead. And then we have the one last replay with Stingray. Stingray is pushing this Angel Behemoth combo and the bottom lane. He's mixing 3 and 3. That's leaving only 2 units on the top, and he's using an offensive unit versus mine that also has a tank in front of it. So it's not a great idea. It's going to end up getting bursted pretty hard. The more people die, the more the Behemoth ends up healing, so that's pretty good for him. He did push this lane pretty good, I'll give him that. But the bottom lane, he ended up falling short, leaving my Fire Elementals getting some kills, so they ended up getting buffs. In the top lane, we also beat him. So he only really won this lane.
Destroy everything.
We still have Giant back here, basically untouched. He's just doing work. He's untouched, he's going to rack up some really high damage.
Feel the flow.
North Elemental's going after the Lich. They're not able to kill it, but they can take quite a bit of damage and end up stunning them when they die too, which is very awesome. There you go. Some arena tips there. It's my offensive and defensive formations are very similar. You just got to find the pillars of your formation where, these units all synergize together and keep this giant alive. This Pit Fiend up there summons a demon, so it gets this lane quite a bit of units. It's with one summon, it's a 3-unit lane. Most people think it's a weak lane and ends up being pretty tanky. And it's my healing lane. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but it supports this group, which is my main damage dealers. And when the battle ends up taking a long time, the Soul Mirror ends up doing a ton of damage. So it's got a little synergy there. There you have it. Some arena tips and tricks, and we're rank 1 right now. We probably won't stay there forever. They'll end up probably figuring something out. It'll beat me, but then I'll figure something out and beat them again.